Welcome in the Wednesday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. We're halfway to the weekend and halfway to another weekend of college and pro football, plus high school football on Friday. But today, Wednesday, I'm Carmine Jamay here in Greenville, joined by Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston and Rick Henry in Columbia. And we're starting off, guys, with a little college football, still feeling the ramifications of the viral rants from Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney of one of the all-time press conferences that definitely I've witnessed, and I think you guys would agree, one of the most interesting, thought-provoking, rant-inducing, social media buzz-creating press conferences that we've gotten from head coach Dabo Swinney. And one of the things that was buried under the lead of him saying, if Clemson doesn't want me, I might coach somewhere else, which clearly had to be the lead, was this interesting discussion toward the end of the press conference about how NIL payments and now this year revenue sharing, paying athletes, directly from the NCAA and the school's budget of multi-millions of dollars, has influenced the accountability now that these amateur athletes, if you still want to call them that, are being held to. So let's listen to Dabo Swinney's take on the pay for play and the accountability taking place here. And also Tigers legend, offensive lineman formerly Eric McLean, now with the ACC network, chimes in on this topic as well.
NIL's hard here. I mean, it was really hard. But the rev share is a game changer because now we can use our money, but you have to divide it up. And so how do you divide it up? Well, okay, these are our first rounders. And first of all, you got to retain guys. You have to retain your talent. And then you got to acquire talent, and you got to there's a process on both of those. But yeah, I mean, you pay the wrong guys, you're in trouble, right? And these aren't lifetime contracts. So, I mean, no different than the next level. You have to perform.
Collegiate athletics is now basically professional. You're getting paid a lot of money. So I think there's a little bit more of that ownership. There's a little bit more expectation and criticism that comes with that. You're getting paid to do this. If you're not meeting that standard, people are going to tell you, and your own coaches and things of that will as well.
And we've noticed Dabo Swinney, I wouldn't say really necessarily because of the revenue sharing model that's taken place and players getting paid more this season. We've seen him be quite critical, but I don't really think it's related to that, of individual players. Quarterback Cade Klubnik recently for the 1-2 record to start. Ashton Hampton missing several assignments at cornerback against Georgia Tech, resulting in long plays, explosive plays that helped the Yellow Jackets take down Clemson in the first game of conference play. But Kevin, what do you think? Have you noticed that this season in college football, athletes being held to a higher standard because they're getting paid more now with the revenue sharing? Or how do you see this whole thing taking place as far as the pay influencing the criticism that you can have for college athletes?
Well, I don't know if it's a higher standard, but it's a different standard at this point because it used to be with the college players, they would catch criticism from some people, whether it was fans or coaches, but there was always kind of the underlying thing of these are just kids and you can't go in on kids too hard. They're all they're getting is a scholarship and room and board, and that was it. And that made sense. But now, like Eric was saying, they are essentially professionals. They're getting a paycheck, whether it be from the school or from NIL foundations or whoever they're taking money from to do commercials or that kind of stuff. They are getting money. They are getting paid to play. So they are wide open, in my opinion, to the criticisms that come from how they play. And like Dabo said, this is more like putting together a franchise now. They've got to direct their money in certain places. The top players are getting a lot more money than the bottom players, and that's something they've got to be aware of. And if a top player isn't producing on the field, that's something that's going to set a program back, Rick, especially in a year like this.
Yeah, I don't know if people right now, they're thinking about, hey, these players are getting money. Hey, I'm going to come out. If they don't play up to my standards or my satisfaction, I'm going to boo them. But I have to admit, there were fans booing the Gamecocks early in their game against South Carolina State. And I don't know if Dabo did his players any favors by talking about this publicly, because everyone knows now that the players are getting paid, and especially the Clemson fan base, they're so disappointed right now. They hear Dabo, yeah, that's right. These guys are getting all that money, and this is the best they're giving us. But I do think coaches are smart to tell them when they're in the locker room, hey, you guys are open to more criticism now because you're getting paid, and we know there's some people out there who are against that. So, hey, let's step it up, guys. Carmine?
And Rick, one of the big differences also, as opposed to the pro game, it's an owner paying the players, and he makes a lot of his money, whether it's from ticket sales or merchandise sales or whatnot. But in the most case these days, these are billionaires paying the players. At the college level, a large chunk of this is coming through these foundations, and it's through the payments to the school. And like I said, the commercials and the NIL stuff they're doing, they get that money through that. So it's more fan related, where a fan could see, I am making this donation to this foundation that is going towards paying the players. So it might feel a little bit more personal to the fans in that I am giving money that I have earned towards this program, hoping to make them good. And if these guys aren't producing, Carmine, that's more upsetting to me.
Yeah, definitely with the NIL payment coming from the foundations. And I think Dabo made a good point, because he was saying with the revenue sharing that Clemson can now compete with these other massive donor bases, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, the big oil money down in Texas, for example. Clemson could never compete with that NIL-wise, but revenue sharing-wise, getting close to $20 million as an athletics program in the NCAA, you can compete more closely. And Dabo also brought up a point, to your point, Kevin, about the NFL compared to NCAA, because he was saying in the NFL, teams can cut guys, but the guys also have a contract with the NFL teams. In college, you can move around every single year. So it's a kind of a Wild West scenario that we're still dealing with. As far as that. And it's interesting because you guys remember 2 years ago, Tyler from Spartanburg, the infamous call that came into Dabo's radio show, which coincidentally no longer takes live callers. Wonder how that happened. But Tyler from Spartanburg was saying Dabo's getting paid $10, $11 million a year. And at that time, 2 seasons ago, you remember they had a 4-4 record, not exactly a Clemson-esque start. But now with a 1-2 record this season, Rick, these players are under a similar amount of scrutiny, because we heard fans at the Troy game when Clemson was hosting them booing when they were down 16-0, and Dabo understood that. But now that players are getting paid, you're going to get that scrutiny of, you're getting paid this amount of money, you got to perform.
Yeah, and the boos will get louder if the losses and disappointing games continue to mount. So it's a different era for college athletics. That's for sure. And the Gamecocks, hey, they suffered their first loss against Vanderbilt over the weekend, and it wasn't pretty. Quarterback Lenore Sellers goes out with an injury. We're expecting an update from Coach Beamer today when they issue the SEC injury report. But now they go to Missouri. It's their first true road game. They opened the season in Atlanta against Virginia Tech. They won that one, but it was more like a home game because of the number of Gamecock fans that showed up. And they don't have much success against Missouri when they're not playing in Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks are 4-3 overall against the Tigers. On neutral sites, in bowl games, they're 0-2. And in Columbia, Missouri, they're 2-4. Those 2 wins came in 2013 under Steve Spurrier in double overtime, and in 2017 under Will Muschamp. So here's head coach Shane Beamer talking about taking the Gamecocks on the road and what they must do to come out successful. That energy.
Yeah, I think if you're a competitor, you embrace going on the road. We've got a young team. We've basically played 3 home games to this point. So we've got a lot of young players on our team that are going to be going into an environment on Saturday night that they've never been a part of in their life. That when Donovan Murph at Irma went and played at Dutch Fork, that was a hostile environment. There's no question about it, but it's not going to be what he's going to face on Saturday night. So the things that we got to fall back on are our fundamentals, our technique, our competitive spirit, that as a competitor you love going on the road.
And this will be a good test for his young team because the road games they've got coming up, how about at LSU, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M? Places not very friendly to visitors. Carmine?
Yeah, and Texas A&M looks pretty tough this year, especially after what they did at the last second against Notre Dame. What a win for them, scoring in the 40s. And Kevin, South Carolina can't put up probably at least 30 with the way this Missouri offense looks with the Penn State transfer quarterback. They're airing it out, spread offense. They got to score some points, and so hopefully Lenoris is healthy, or if not, I guess we'll see what's up next at quarterback.
Well, that's the question I wanted to ask is that, we're talking about Lenoris Sellers, and we don't know his status yet. Like Rick said, we should find out later tonight, at least an update. ESPN reported this afternoon that Sellers looks like he's on track to be able to play Saturday against Missouri. But the question I want to ask you guys is, how healthy does Sellers have to be for you to put him into this lineup and play at Missouri on Saturday? Let's say he's, coming off a concussion, which we don't know for sure yet, but let's say hypothetically he is. And let's say he's 75% right now, and he's going to be 75% come Saturday. Do you play him on the road against Missouri in that game with a huge schedule like we talked about coming up with the games against LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma? Or do you maybe rest him on Saturday and let him get to 100% for the gauntlet of that schedule and take the risk of what's going to happen at Missouri? Carmine, what's your thought?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kevin. I think that you have to, because your backup option, I think it's all about the backup options. Like, for example, Georgia Tech, and just referencing them because they recently played Clemson. In the first game, they had Haynes King, totally healthy, ran for 3 rushing touchdowns against Colorado and Deion Sanders' fourth quarter win. Then Aaron Philo came in the second game with Haynes King banged up, but he can air it out, and he's also a very, capable quarterback to beat Gardner-Webb, put up 50 points. With the Gamecocks, after Lenoris Sellers, let's say he's 75%, Luke Doty, I don't know what he's capable of against Missouri, couldn't score any points against Vanderbilt. And then you have 2 freshmen in Air Noland and Cutter Woods, who now you're going to put them out there in a rabid SEC environment when you need a win. Also, speaking to that, they need to win this game, because if you drop 2 in a row to 2 of the weaker teams in the SEC, what are you going to do in the next matchups? Alabama, Oklahoma, that could be the end of it. So, Rick, where do you stand on that?
Hey, I'm no doctor, but I think especially when you're playing football, which is a collision sport, and your quarterback, you have to be 100%. You can't risk putting him out there if he's not. So I think the only way he plays is if he's 100%. And if he's not able to go, then you need your very best from Luke Doty. Because if Lenoris is out for any significant amount of time, the season could go south very, very quickly. All right, good first opening segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We've been talking all week about the losses suffered over the weekend by Clemson and South Carolina. I would argue, though, that perhaps no team in this state suffered a more heartbreaking loss this past weekend than Charleston Southern. The Bucks had their home opener this past weekend against Lindenwood, a Big South OVC opponent, and coming in with a 12-game losing streak, haven't won since the second game of the season last year. And the Bucks come out in this one like gangbusters. They build up a 21-0 lead early on in the second quarter. Big touchdown run that gave them that 3-touchdown lead, and it looked like they were going to get back in the win column for the first time in almost a year. But after that 21-0 point, Lindenwood just came all the way back. They made it 21-7 at the half. It was 21-14 after 3 quarters. They would come all the way back, take a 35-21 lead over Charleston Southern late in the fourth quarter. The Bucks would get one back, actually recovered an onside kick with under a minute to go to give them a chance to tie it up, but they was called for illegal touching. So Lindenwood got the ball back, and that's how this one would end. That's the long touchdown right there that made it 21-0. And CSU, like I said, just dropping a heartbreaker. 35-28 to Lindenwood was the final. They are back on the road this weekend, taking on William & Mary. Head coach Gabe Gardenia talk about what they need to do to get back in that win column.
I think that's the number one message to the team right now, is just keep climbing. All right, it's one foot in front of the other. It's one hand. We're on our hands and knees. All right, but we are fighting to move forward and keep climbing up this doggone mountain. And I'm excited because we get to do that together. And we're going to show some resolve here and go, prepare the right way so we can go get the result that we need to get.
And as I mentioned, that losing streak now at 13 for Charleston Southern. As best we can find, we were talking with the SID after that game Saturday. The school record for a losing streak is 15 games, and they're going to be underdogs in this game against William & Mary, and then next week when they play host to South Carolina State. So it could be a record the Bucks want no part in tying in the coming weeks. We've got more coming up here on Palmetto Sports Daily right after this.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We've been talking college football. Right now, we're going to talk minor league baseball, and we have a lot of excitement here in the capital city. The Columbia Fireflies, they play a winner-take-all game tonight against the Lewisburg Hillcats, and it's for the championship of the Carolina League. Most excitement around here for baseball since the Gamecocks won those back-to-back national championships in 2010 and 2011. We got some video from last night's game. The Fireflies won it 15-10. They had a 14-5 lead.
Wow.
I thought one time, like, oh no, hope they don't blow this one. But they were able to hang on and win it. So we had all these runs. We had energized fans. There was even a bench clearing moment, but no punches were thrown. Fireflies pitcher was ejected. But all in all, it's a winner-take-all game tonight. And, hey, this is the first time ever for the Fireflies being in the playoffs. They're undefeated at home in the postseason, and now they can win the franchise's first championship tonight. Here's Fireflies manager David Novarita.
Yeah, it's an emotional game, especially in the playoffs. So I like the fire with our team, but we got to focus on what we need to do. And but yeah, I mean these two teams, they won it all. It's awesome to see. So hopefully not the bench is clearing tomorrow, but definitely the fire. So it's awesome. We talked about it pregame, just how much these fans love baseball and everything. And now we got a winner take all game, and should be an exciting one. I'll tell you what, towards the end, I was happy we got every single one we had, but no, it's been great, and definitely, if we could score as many runs as we can, then I think we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, so again, they should have a great crowd out tonight, and it's going to be on our digital channel, 10.4, but only in the Columbia area only, so a big night for Palmetto sports and entertainment, but unfortunately only in Columbia. Carmine?
All right, Rick. Well, here in the upstate, fans were also excited about baseball. How sad is it, the Atlanta Braves? We should be talking about the Braves right now, but maybe next year. Anyway, let's talk about the Hub City Spartanburgers. That was an exciting game. Also a must-win game in the postseason. This one was in the championship series for them. We have some video of their matchup just last night. And they unfortunately lost that one to the Brooklyn Cyclones, which I don't know. I'm from just north of Brooklyn, about 45 minutes. Never seen a cyclone. But anyway, the wind was apparently whipping in Spartanburg. Look at that crowd, almost 3,000 people there to watch this first-year team, the Hub City Spartanburgers. And they were down 2-0, but then in the 8th inning, they came back to make it 2-1. Unfortunately, that's where the game finished. And the Spartanburgers lost to Brooklyn, the Cyclones, 2-1 after losing to them in the first game, 13-1. And Brooklyn claimed their first South Atlantic League title with that win. But still, a great opening season for a lot of those fans in the upstate. The Hub City Spartanburgers, in their first year as a baseball team, making it all the way to the championship series. And I believe we have some fan sound about that excitement continuing.
It's a testament to these players and the way they went about it all year long. They showed up to work every single day. They poured into it. The staff poured into these guys, and, could not be more proud of the way they went about it and what they did for this town.
Lots of excitement there in Spartanburg for the first-year team. Great to see that all the way to the championship series. We'll see where they go in year 2. And coming up, a team just trying to win a game, the Carolina Panthers, after this.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We wrap things up today talking a little NFL and the Carolina Panthers dropping to 0-2 this past weekend with a 27-22 loss on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. Carolina offense actually looked pretty good in that second half, managed to score, 19 of their 22 points in the second half. So it looks like they were maybe starting to get things together. Maybe a little bit more time playing in the preseason would have helped them reach that a little bit sooner. But head coach Dave Canales, not happy about how some people are saying that was a moral victory and saying there are no moral victories when you're at this level.
We had a bunch of tough guys, high character guys that'll continue to play football and that'll give us a chance. I have to commend our guys for continuing to battle to find opportunities and find wins. That's the nature of this group. I'm proud of that part, but there's no moral victories like we talk about. We have to be able to play good football from snap one until the end.
Well, I guess a moral victory, guys, for Clemson fans would be that Hunter Renfrow caught 2 touchdowns. That was pretty awesome to see. If you're just a Panthers fan, it doesn't really matter that much. But if you're a Clemson fan, and one of those touchdowns was very similar to the national championship winning catch he had on that route to the sideline with Deshaun Watson for Clemson. So that was kind of a moral victory, and I don't think, Rick, that they'll get their first victory of the season on paper for the Carolina Panthers when they play their home opener hosting the Atlanta Falcons, because the Falcons' defense looks really good, how they looked against J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings just last week. And, Michael Penix is coming on with that offense. So, unfortunately, I'm not very optimistic this week.
Hey, the first part of that game, which I was calling the mini-me bowl between Bryce Young and Kyler Murray, Bryce was coming up small, but then I got to give him credit for getting it together in the second half, but still they lost. And at this point, if I'm Dave Canales, I'll take a moral victory or two, because who knows how many real victories they're going to get. That's going to wrap it up for Palmetto Sports Daily. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.